here is the crappy trivia question for you to answer. You cannot make a power play. You must answer. Who was the last offensive player to be taken first overall that wasn't a quarterback or a tackle?
Ooh, last offensive player that was not. Oh, my gosh. Man, I'm going to say Keyshawn Johnson.
Whoa. Rigged. It's rigged. Somebody cheated. There's no. How did you get that?
I'm that good. I've told you before. I'm a historian, okay? I am a historian, all right? And I know what the hell I'm talking about here. So, okay, here we go. You ready?
First pick.
First pick. I think I'm going to have to go with Jim Plunkett as my first pick, okay? Jim Plunkett should have made a power play. Won the Heisman, came out of Stanford, #1 pick, all right? Gets drafted by then the crappy New England Patriots, kind of an upstart franchise that just, trying to find their way. Jim Plunkett gets stuck there. We don't really know how good he is. Oh, it's a crap career. Oh, he's a bust. Oh, he goes to the Oakland Raiders. Hey, they're kind of good. Guess what? Jim Plunkett kind of looks good. Wins 2 Super Bowls that way. That's one guy that jumps out to me right away. First off, in a lot of different ways, never gets in the Hall of Fame conversation, but certainly a guy that got stuck in a bad position, and we didn't know how good or talented he was until he got on a team that could help show his talents that way. So Jim Plunkett is one that jumps out to me.
Yeah, I like that one. I like it, but I don't love it. You missed the obvious #1 overall pick. It's a guy who has been an integral part of this Joe Burrow story. A guy who was the first overall pick of the Cincinnati Bengals.
I didn't think you would go here yet. Damn it.
Why didn't you think I would go Carson Palmer?
I don't know, because I thought you would be snarky and come up with something cuter than this. I was hoping to save it for round 2 or 3.
Not with the first pick. I saved the snarky stuff for later. Carson Palmer, who ultimately did make a power play, and based upon his comments about what he learned in Cincinnati, surely wishes he had made a power play and forced his way to a better organization in 2003. And when he did quit on the Bengals in 2011, it was that broken collarbone suffered by Jason Campbell 2 days before the trade deadline that opened the door for the Bengals to trade Carson Palmer to the Raiders. The Raiders gave up way too much to get Carson Palmer, but they were desperate at that point, and that got him out of Cincinnati. He would later end up in Arizona, which really showed him the contrast between good organization, bad organization. So, yes, Carson Palmer should have made the power play back in 2003 when he was the first overall pick.
Yeah, that would have been my next pick. I thought you would try to go with something cuter in round 1, and I just didn't think you would go there the obvious route. So that kind of pisses me off because I was trying to plan that out and it didn't work out. All right, I'm going to go with a guy that's playing right now. I'm going with Matthew Stafford. Okay, Matthew Stafford, hey, I know I defend him, right? I do. I think he's been one of the better quarterbacks of this last 10, 12 years. He's a lot better than what people give him credit for, is what I want to say. And, this is an extremely talented guy who's really been the only thing positive about the Detroit Lions for years and years and years. And when they drafted him, hey, they were a dumpster fire. There's no doubt about that. And, again, here he's still fighting the stigma of, should he be out of it? They don't go to the playoffs and they don't win playoff games and all that. I get it. I understand that. Does Matthew Stafford have a few moments in his career that he'd like back? Sure. But damn, he's delivered a lot more moments for that team and allowed coaches to keep jobs and keep them relevant because of his greatness. He's a victim of his own greatness to a degree, and I just don't think he'll ever get the credit he quite deserves, just because there just hasn't been enough support around him.
I like that, and it was on my list, and it would have been a consideration for me in round 2. I feel like he was never coached, at least not early in his career,
right,
the way he could have been, and now he's kind of going through this process where he's being coached differently, maybe more aggressively, maybe being coaxed to be more of a leader than he's ever been before. And it's kind of a strange mid to late career adjustment for him. But I hope he stays with the Lions. There were those weird reports last week that there were trade talks. The Lions aren't trading him. I don't rule out Matthew Stafford maybe wanting a change of scenery at some point, but I think that the Lions know that he's their best chance to have a contending team
right
in 2020.
And
but you're right.
Yeah, I was just going to say, and they're on their last strike here as far as Patricia and Bob Quinn, so they're not going to want to roll the dice. Yeah, they need him.
They need him.
Right.
But back in 2009, you're right. He should have said, 0-16 team, no thank you, I am out. All right, I'm going to go way back. I'm going to go back to 1987, 1 year after Bo Jackson pulled a power play on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and took baseball instead. Vinny Testaverde, who we had on set with us Super Bowl week, he should have said to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, no, thank you. I'm not doing it. When you look at his career, and it's a shame, he played 21 years, but I feel like those first 6 seasons in Tampa, like if he'd have been somewhere with a better coaching staff, a better organization, he may have become the guy he was kind of starting to be once he ended up with the Browns, once he ended up with the Ravens, right? You know, he had 35 interceptions in his second year with the Buccaneers.
Yes.
Hey, Jameis Winston's got more work to do if he wants to set the single-season interception record with the Buccaneers. He's 5 short because, yes, Vinny had 13 touchdown passes and 35 interceptions in 1988. It was a horrible team. It was a dreadful organization. It would stay that way until Tony Dungy became the head coach. And it would have been, in hindsight, better for Vinny Testaverde to start his NFL career anywhere but Tampa Bay.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, Tampa's probably got a few picks, and that, what was that second year? Is that when we realized, or everybody realized that Vinny Testaverde was colorblind, right? Is that how that went down? They didn't even realize it until the second year of the NFL. That's crazy. I also had Roy Selmon on my list, too, as a Tampa Bay guy to go, hey, maybe he shouldn't have done that. What were you going to say? Go ahead.
No, I remember they realized he was colorblind because they stopped wearing their orange creamsicle home jerseys. They started wearing white because he couldn't tell the difference between the orange creamsicle jersey and the white jersey that the opposing team was wearing. So they had to start wearing white at home.
Yeah, right. That I do. I kind of remember that. But that's just crazy. The guy that won the Heisman and did all those things had no idea he was colorblind until his second year in the NFL. All right. I hate to do this. I don't know where to go here.
Oh.
Well, I know, because I'm like,
good.
I'm stuck in a spot here. I'm going to go with one a little off the radar, just because Mike Williams. You remember Mike Williams, the receiver from USC, right? He's a top 10 pick. In the previous 2 drafts, the Detroit Lions had taken receivers, Charles Rogers and then Roy Williams. So I'm going with him because I go, damn, it didn't work out with the first 2 guys. You were a big name coming out in the draft from USC. You should have just said, no, sorry, Detroit. Damn, Detroit's on my list twice. I feel bad. But he should have said, oh, okay, Matt Millen, he struck out with those 2 receivers. The hell with it. I don't want to go there. That looks like a graveyard for receivers. So this maybe is not the sexiest name ever, but this is one that I think kind of jumps out to me as far as, like, there was a lot of clues and context clues to not want to go to that team at that point.
And wasn't Mike Williams one of the guys who, when Maurice Clarett initially won his lawsuit against the league, keeping guys out of the draft who were fewer than 3 years removed from high school, didn't he hire an agent and become ineligible and lose a year of college football and still was the 10th overall pick?
I don't know.
Didn't that happen?
I don't know if I can say I remember that totally. I'm not sure about that, so I can't.
Yeah.
I can't.
I have to go back and
there.
research that.
Yeah.
All right, next one for me comes from 1999. Do you remember the 1999 draft, Chris Simms?
Yeah. I mean, no, not really. I can't say specifically. Okay. Go ahead.
That was the year where there was a run on quarterbacks.
Oh, that
Tim
was
Couch
Donovan
was number
McNabb,
1.
right?
Donovan McNabb was number 2, and taken 3rd in the draft that year was Achilles Smith.
Right.
I think Achilles Smith should have said to the Bengals, go pound sand or pound salt or whatever. And I say that because from time to time over the years, I've wondered, if you just flip McNabb and Smith, if the Eagles had taken Achilles Smith and paired him with Andy Reid, and if Andy Reid had groomed Achilles Smith and taught Achilles Smith and worked with Achilles Smith, the way we've seen Andy Reid take average quarterbacks and turn them into great quarterbacks, would Achilles Smith have become a fixture in Philadelphia? And if Donovan McNabb had ended up being drafted by the Bengals, would he have washed out of the league? I feel like Achilles Smith never really got a chance to flourish in the NFL because he got stuck with a crap team, all due respect, right out of the gates. And in hindsight, look, we're talking mainly about number 1 overall picks, although you went number 10. I think Achilles Smith should have said, hey, no, sorry, I'm not interested in playing for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Well, I mean, it's a real question. I think we could probably go back through time and look at a lot of guys where we put them on a pedestal to go, oh, they're great, and then this guy is just and we think there's a great difference in the player. And, I think, like what you're saying here, you could sit back and go and argue and go, I don't know if there's that great difference of the player. I think the support system was just that much greater on the guy we're putting on the pedestal. I think that is a very real conversation that's gone on throughout the history of time with the NFL. And Achilles Smith, man, he did have talent. He did. He came down, hey, this just in, John Gruden is a quarterback hoarder, okay? And we had Achilles Smith in training camp, along with the rest of the NFL's quarterbacks at the time at some point in my 6 years at John Gruden. But Achilles Smith, he had talent. I remember watching him the first time he let go of the ball, and I was like, damn, that's pretty. Look at that thing spin. It was beautiful. But, yeah, he was scarred at that point already by everything that had happened in the Cincinnati. So dysfunctional. He had no confidence that way, and he was really trying to find his way and almost lost in the NFL because of that bad start.
Three other names I had on the list that intrigued me. Mike Vick, because we had some conversation this year about how the Falcons never really developed an offense around him the way the Ravens have with Lamar Jackson. Maybe he would have been better off in a different team, in a different city to start his career.
Yep.
I put Steve Walsh on my list, too. Remember, the Cowboys made him the first-round pick in the supplemental draft when they had just taken Troy Aikman, #1 overall. What the hell are you doing, Dallas Cowboys?
Jimmy Johnson, I think, was still mad that, Troy Aikman spurned him and went to Oklahoma instead of Oklahoma State and then UCLA instead of his Miami. I think Jimmy was mad at him.
And finally, I put on the list just for fun the final pick in round 3 of the 2003 draft, Christopher David Simms.
I definitely should have.
How differently your career would have been if you weren't stuck with John Gruden in Tampa Bay and that searing sun and everything that went along with it. You ever think about that? Like if another team had drafted me, how different my career would have been? I mean, apart from the fact that you wouldn't have been playing the Carolina Panthers on that hot day in September of 2006, just generally, do you think your career would have gone differently if you had been with a different team?
Maybe. Honestly, Mike, I'll say this. I don't think about that as much as I think about, should I have really gone to Texas as a young kid and gone to that school? That's the one where I probably second guess more than anything, right? The Tampa one, because of the draft, and I don't know. I guess what I'm saying is
you got no control over that.
You got no control.
What we were talking about.
You're right. I was accepting of that, but also I think me being with John Gruden in a lot of ways was a blessing in disguise too. I learned a whole lot of football from a guy at the time who was the cutting edge man as far as offensive football was concerned. And it helped me throughout my career, and it helps me right now to this day as far as knowing football, breaking film down, whatever it may be. I wouldn't be where I am if it weren't for John Gruden, the things he taught me. So I'm very grateful for that.
Quarterbacks drafted before Chris Simms in 2003. Carson Palmer, Byron Leftwich, Rex Grossman, Kyle Bowler.
That one pisses me off.
Ragone.
I can't. Dave Ragone got picked before me because I got to the point where it was like, wow, this guy was kind of like, a top 30, top 40 talent, and now, we don't want to take him on our team in the second round and like make a quarterback competition with a guy that's the son of Phil Simms. But the one that pisses me off is Kyle Bowler. That one, I would still want to yell at the Baltimore Ravens, going, "What the hell?" Kyle Bowler threw more interceptions than touchdowns in his college career, and they took him because he threw the ball before the goalpost, threw the goalpost from his knee, right? And I just wish I would have done that too. Maybe it would have jumped me up a whole bunch of spots, but that still pisses me off, Baltimore.
Something that comes in very handy. Were you not aware of that play in the playbook? Throw the football through the goalpost from your knees?
It works, though, with some guys, and it buys them time and stock. Look at, Alex Tanney, right? He's trick shot Tanney. It's bought him 4 more years in the NFL because of it.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.